Hey everyone, Merja here. Good to be here with you today. So today's Q&A, we have a couple of questions. I don't think we have names for these people, but as always, if you want to comment, if you want to share your personal experience with any one of these questions, just put your comments down below. It's perfect. And so let's get into it. I have been using the 4 people within for a while now, but I'm still not sure when it's time to reassure and support my children and when it's time to set boundaries and push them a bit so we can all grow together. Fantastic question. I feel that I tend to land on the side of reassuring and not pushing. Do you have any suggestions for this? Okay, like everything in life, this isn't black and white. You will fail forward. And so what it means is that don't expect yourself to be perfect. You don't actually know unless you try. You don't know unless you try. And the other thing that's really good to remember is that if your inner children have been, trying to take over the information collecting or the decision making in your life, they're going to have a problem with you trying to assert boundaries with them. Just like any, normal kids, if they've had no boundaries for as long as they can remember, when you start to assert your boundaries, it's going to be a big deal. Okay? So it's really difficult to answer this in more detail because I don't know your type, I don't know who you are, and I don't know the circumstance that you're in. So if you want to put those down in the comments, we can have a look at that. The other option that might be good for you is, because this is a very general question, but it may not help you as an individual because it's not like I can't give you a specific question because the answer because the question wasn't specific. So another option that you might consider is, I think Ursa and Val Flynn are running. So Ursa Swenson, who's like a guardian of this group, and Val Flynn, whom you've also seen around. I think they're running 4 people within or inner parenting 101 group mentoring at this stage. So I would recommend that you actually talk to one of them and just see if you working the 4 people within material with the group mentoring would actually be exactly what you need. They'll tell you if they don't think if they think that it's not what you need, they will tell you straight away. So this isn't about filling some quota or anything. They'll tell you straight up if they don't think it's the right thing for you. But basically, how you know, initially it's good to make sure that you reassure your inner children a lot, and then start to set boundaries with them and see how that goes. But really, without an actual example and an actual conversation, it's not easy to give you an actual answer. So I hope that helps. But you can't get it wrong because you can always, as long as you're alive, you will always continue to build this relationship with your inner children. So don't worry about getting it wrong. Just try different things and when you're trying different things, try the same thing consistently, like maybe 30 times. And because it might be just a question of power games. So it might be a power struggle as opposed to them being traumatized by it. So stay cool, stay calm and collected with your inner parenting and just set the boundary and help the inner child find their own form within the boundary that you're setting. So for example, let's just say that you have a challenge where you're addicted to social media or trying to get validation from social media, from the outside world. It might be one of your inner children who's not feeling validated by you. So set the boundary of we're only spending 10 minutes in the social media a day, and this is the time that we're doing it. If they start to revolt against that, then you need to ask them, so what is it that you're getting from social media and how can I give it to you? So how can I give it to myself effectively? So I hope that answers that question. Those would be my suggestions. Start with that. Be okay not being perfect with it. Don't be afraid to play around with it. When you start setting boundaries, set boundaries at least 30 times consistently with that same thing, and offer a conversation within those boundaries or parameters that you've set with your inner children to try and find out what's happening for them. Okay, next question. Actually, but talk to Ursa or Val about the groups that they're running in case that might be the right thing for you. And as I said, they'll tell you if it's not. Okay, next question. I've heard you say that entrepreneurship is the greatest personal development journey you'll ever take. I have indeed said that. What are the key lessons that you've learned on your entrepreneurial journey? What recommendations do you have for others who are just starting on this path? Okay. First of all, this is I love this question. It's again quite a general question, so if you have more specific questions, just pop them down at the bottom. So, what are the key lessons that you've learned on your entrepreneurial journey? Number one, you can't always control everything. You can't control, you put something out there, you can't control how people are going to perceive it. I take any miscommunication or misunderstanding as an opportunity to communicate and get to understand one another better. So that's one. It's really important that you understand that you can't control how people perceive you. People don't perceive how you are. They perceive you how they are. So they will see you through certain glasses. You might say, one person might say, that person's the most amazing person ever, and then another person puts on their resentment glasses and go like, that's just another personal development fool. So you don't know how it's gonna go, and it shouldn't really matter, because if you're called to do something, you're always gonna have critics. You will always have critics. The second thing that's kind of related to that is know from whom you're going to accept criticism. So the person that you accept criticism from is the person that you ask for their opinion on something. So let's just say that you're doing your marketing and you're going to be focusing on email marketing. Now, if you have a person telling you that you shouldn't do email marketing, who has never run their own business, who hasn't actually run a successful email campaign, or who is just not a person whom you trust, then you shouldn't take that advice. So if they're saying you shouldn't be doing email marketing just because they weren't successful in it, doesn't mean that you won't be successful in it. Okay, so only take when in business, only take advice from people that you actually trust, has your best interest at heart, and isn't just behaving out of their inner children's insecurities. So that's number two. Know who you take advice from. The third one is know who you let into your life. So I personally, I'm still getting these cold/flu issues like dry lips when I talk for a while. So be really careful about who you let into your inner circle, because people influence you. No matter how much you think that people don't have influence over you, they do. The 5 people you spend the most time with will influence you in a certain way, whether that you're physically with them or they're inside your head telling you that you're not good enough or whatever it is. So be really clear about who those 5 people are. Choose them carefully and allow them proactively to influence you to become a better version of yourself. So those would be like the top 3. Then there's all kinds of lessons, that's the other kind of smaller lessons to do with how you communicate with people, what kind of client care you have. We, with all of our businesses, we're boutique operations. We deliberately are not going for volume because I personally believe that firstly, the very first thing is that we don't actually need as much money as generally as people, project that they need. They need the Lamborghini. Well, there's nothing wrong with having a strong car if that's something that gives you joy, but to have a car like that to impress other people is not actually an integrated reason to have that car in the first place. I'm not judging people about where they are in their integration journey, so please don't think that. But what I am saying is that, how you appear and who you actually are, they should pretty much be the same thing. Of course, there are boundaries that you're going to set. You're not going to tell everybody your personal stuff. There are things you're not going to disclose. Obviously, there's, personal experiences that you don't want to talk about, and that's fine. But don't pretend to be one person here in front of the camera and another person outside of it. Like, that's just, people are going to find out. People aren't stupid. You're not stupid. You can tell if I'm authentic and genuine or if I'm not. So pretending something like, hiring a car for the day so you can take photos and put them on social media, or going outside somebody else's beautiful house and pretend like you own that house, and like, who does that anymore? Those people are very, very unintegrated. They still feel their inner children are running the show, and they still feel like they need to somehow prove their worth by this kind of stuff, as opposed to actually being worthy and sharing their gift from their worthy self. So those kinds of lessons I've learned. What recommendations do you have for others who are just starting on this path? Number one, be as authentic as you possibly can. Now, you're going to evolve. So where you are today is not where you're going to be in a year's time. In a year's time, you'll be in a different place from where you are right now. So allow yourself to be a beginner. This is something I say to my integration mentor program students, so the people who are training to become mentors under my guidance, is it's okay for you to just have started up. It is completely okay. You are not, because how we operate is we don't pretend to know everything. We actually work as people's teammates, people whose hand you can hold when you're having a hard time or you're going through a tough a challenge or whatever. We don't see ourselves as this entity who just, beams truths and facts and advice on to somebody who's below us somehow. We're not like that at all. We are teammates, peers on the same level. Yeah, we might be a couple of steps ahead, maybe in the inner parenting journey, or, somebody comes to me and talks about their childhood abuse. I might say, well, these are the things that have helped me overcome a lot of this, what you're going through right now. But we never talk down to people. We don't see ourselves as, authorities over other people. We may see ourselves as an authority on a specific subject because we've, worked through it, but we are not in any case, in any way or form, over anybody else. And the same is true when you're starting out with your mentoring career. Be clear, you're starting out. You've been working with your case studies, and these are the kinds of results that they've got. And that's why your pricing might be a little bit lower initially. And then we work through it and continue to, do price justification. So we don't believe in creating the perception of value and hiking your prices up. We actually believe in creating value and doing price justification in why you're charging what you're charging. So sorry, a bit of a rampage, but what recommendations do I have for those who are just starting on this path? Don't pretend like you're further along than you are. Number one. Number two, look for guidance, look for mentoring, look for people, ask people to help you. And number three, take notes. Always take notes. Do not leave another meeting Like, don't go into a meeting without a notebook, or, that you haven't asked if you can record it, or, your pen. You have to take note. You're learning how this world works. People who are further along than you are won't have time to educate you, throughout the process. Always take notes. Educate yourself outside of meetings with other people. Make sure that you're learning as much as you can. Remember that you will fail, and make that failure count. Fail forward. Don't just fail and then start beating up on yourself because you're not where you think you should be, or where you pretend to be on social media. That's one of the reasons also. Don't pretend anything. Just say where you are and what value you can bring from where you are right now, because I guarantee wherever you are right now, you will offer value to other people who are following in your footsteps. It doesn't matter how, if you've just finished your mentoring training or whatever, it doesn't matter. You have value to offer. Be realistic about the value that you offer, and keep learning. Always keep learning. So those would be my recommendations for those who are just starting on this path. All right. So we will leave that one there. And for this week, and I look forward to our session next week. Again, questions at desk@introvertsuccessinitiative.com, desk@introvertsuccessinitiative.com, or if you can't make it live, you can just, or if you just saw this after the fact, just put your, follow-up comments or questions into the comment section of this video. All right, I'll talk to you next week, if not before. Have a fantastic week. And also, just remember, as an introvert, you have something really deeply valuable to offer to people. Don't be afraid to learn how to turn that inner wisdom that you have into the outside world. I'll see you soon.